Welcome. Today we are zeroing in on a truly foundational shift in AI.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's one that moves AI out of the chat window and squarely into the actual workflow. The era of AI that just talks is fading, and the era of AI that does things has begun.
Right. This is what everyone is starting to call the agentic shift.
The agentic shift.
And it's the inflection point where the business world, finally stops asking, where's the impact, and starts actually measuring it.
Measuring it in dollars and cents.
In reduced costs and completed workflows. For the past couple of years, companies have been wrestling with this Gen AI paradox.
Okay, let's unpack that paradox because
Yeah.
that feels like a critical starting point.
It is.
Generative AI systems,
Yeah.
chatbots, smart writing tools, they were everywhere almost overnight. But when enterprises actually looked at the results,
They saw almost nothing.
little measurable change in revenue or cost or risk. So what happened? Why?
Because we were still relying on humans to run the show. The human was the workflow engine.
So Gen AI was just a tool in their toolbox.
A very sophisticated, smart typewriter, basically. It helped you draft the email faster, yes. But the humans still had to go check the company policy, log into the CRM, push the actual refund button, update the case log.
Right. The AI was a helper for individual steps, but it wasn't a teammate. It couldn't close the loop.
It couldn't close the loop. So the solution, this agentic AI, isn't just about making a better typewriter. It's about flipping the ownership of the task completely.
So we stop asking the model to just write better and start asking it to do better.
You're building systems that pursue goals. They coordinate tools, they handle an entire process like that refund request without a human micromanaging every single step.
So in this exploration, our mission is to really get under the hood of that.
Yeah, to understand the architecture, the safety bits, and the crucial difference between the systems we had, which were all about output, and the systems we're now building, which are all about outcomes.
We're moving from talking about autonomy to actually shipping it.
That's the goal.
The first wave of Gen AI, as you said, it was all about the chatbot. It helped with a step here or there, but the human always held the baton.
Always. And this agentic shift, it requires a pretty massive mental adjustment for organizations.
How so?
Well, you have to stop asking, how can AI help this person type a little faster? That's the old question.
Okay, so what's the new question?
The fundamental new question is, which outcome can we safely and reliably move from human hands to software?
That's a huge shift. We're going from helping an agent draft a reply
To handing the system a goal. Resolve all legitimate refund requests under policy and escalate anything that looks weird.
Now that sounds amazing in theory, but I can already hear the CFO getting nervous about handing the refund button over to software.
And they should be. It sounds terrifying without the right structure.
So how does a system actually get that level of trusted autonomy? What are the moving parts?
Okay, so we can define the architecture by 3 linked components. Think of it as a continuous self-correcting loop. We call it the PCA loop. Perception, cognition, and action.
All right, let's start with perception. This has to be more than just reading a user's prompt.
Oh, much more. Perception is the agent observing the world. It's not just listening to you, it's integrating with systems.
So it's pulling information from APIs.
Pulling from APIs, reading database logs, scanning emails for updates, checking the CRM for customer history. It has to establish the real-world state of things before it can even think.
So it's not just listening to you, it's seeing the whole environment you're in. Okay, so after perception comes cognition.
Correct. And cognition is where the language model, the Gen AI part, really lives. This is the reasoning engine.
This is the brain.
It's the brain. It takes that perceived state, reasons about the goal, plans out a sequence of steps, and decides what to do next. Most of the chatbots we've used so far lived almost entirely in this layer.
Just thinking and talking.
Oh.
But then there's the final step, the one that turns the typewriter into a teammate.
That's action. This is where the system actually calls tools.
It runs in SQL query.
It runs a query. It calls a payment API to process that refund. It files a ticket in Jira. It edits a document. The key thing to remember is the output of an agent is rarely just text.
The output is a change in state.
A change in the real world. Now, to make that PCA loop safe enough for a real company to use, you have to add 2 more ingredients.
Okay.
Memory, so it remembers the rules, what it's already tried, and very rigid guardrails, so it only acts inside strictly defined boundaries.
Right, so it's not a rivalry then, generative AI and agentic AI. It's a stack.
Exactly, they stack. You need the powerful generative model for the intelligence for the cognition part.
But the agentic layer provides the structure, the control.
The nervous system, the hands, the feet. Gen AI is the brain. Agentic AI is the body that does things.
If we look at them side by side, the roles are just fundamentally different.
Completely. Generative AI's primary role is to produce content, to summarize things. Agentic AI's primary role is to achieve a goal,
To change something.
to affect state. And this totally changes the human's position in the process.
Which is where the ROI really shows up.
That's it. With a chatbot, the human is always in the loop. You're guiding every single step.
But with an agentic system.
The human is often on the loop. You're there for review, for escalation. You're not doing the grunt work anymore.
And that changes the whole value proposition. You're not buying paragraphs anymore or, time saved per task.
You are buying finished workflows, completed tasks, measurable efficiency. And that is how you finally resolve that Gen AI paradox.
Let's make this really concrete with that refund example. So, scenario 1, human only. The agent does every single step. Checks policy, issues refund, writes the email.
All of it. Now add a chatbot, scenario 2. The human gets help drafting the email, maybe summarizing the customer's history, but they still own every decision and click every button.
Right, but the agentic flow, that's different.
The agentic flow owns the process. The agent is monitoring the support queue. It classifies the case, queries the database, applies the policy, calls the payment API.
Writes the email, closes the ticket.
And the human. They only see an alert when the request is, say, over a certain dollar amount, or the system fails, or the policy is ambiguous.
That's where you measure the value, in closed cases per hour.
You've moved from asking the model to decorate the process to asking it to run the process.
Okay, so when companies start thinking about building these systems, they often look at a scale of autonomy. I've seen these 5 levels mentioned.
Right. That scale is a useful benchmark. Level 1 is just simple scripted automation, your old school RPA bots. If X happens, do Y.
And level 2 is the copilots, where most of classic Gen AI has been sitting.
Exactly. It can write, suggest, summarize, but it never, ever presses the final button.
Now, what's interesting is that the advice isn't to aim for level 5 for full autonomy. That's described as conference keynote territory.
Yeah.
Why is that still so far off?
Because level 5 implies almost perfect generalization and safety in really complex, unbounded environments. And that's just an incredibly high bar for trust and for safety.
So where should serious enterprises be focused today?
On level 3, tool-using agents. This is the sweet spot.
Now, level 3 means?
It means the agent runs a defined end-to-end flow. It calls APIs, it queries SQL, and this is the critical part. It hands off to a human only when its confidence score drops or a hard policy is hit.
So level 3 is where the real measurable value is today.
Yes. Maybe with some small specialized pockets of level 4 where you have multiple agents coordinating. But level 3 is the production goal.
So if we peek inside the brain of a production-ready level 3 agent, what do we see? What makes it tick?
At its core, you have the planner. This takes that abstract goal, like process refund, and turns it into a granular, auditable list of steps.
And it logs why it made each decision.
Which is vital. For trust, for audit, a human has to be able to see the chain of reasoning, not just the final result.
And what gives it that quiet superpower of self-correction you hear about?
That's the combination of reflection and critics. It's a think, act, reflect pattern.
So it checks its own work.
It can, or it can even call a separate, dedicated critic agent whose only job is to be vigilant and review the plan for policy violations before any action is taken.
Wow, so it's built-in quality control.
Instead of just relying on external monitoring.
And for these complex multi-step jobs, memory has to be really robust. I've read about these encrypted thought signatures. Why is that better than just having the agent reread its own chat history?
It's all about speed and cost in a production system.
Right.
When an agent calls an external tool, it leaves the language model's context for a moment.
Right.
If it had to reread thousands of words of its own internal monologue every time it came back, the latency and the cost would be insane.
So thought signature is like a compressed save state.
Exactly. An efficient, often encrypted way for the model to recover its exact internal state and pick up right where it left off.
And none of this works, I assume, without the final layer. Policies and limits.
The hard rules.
Which tools it can use, how much budget it can burn, and when it absolutely must stop for a human. It sounds like governance isn't an add-on, it's the operating system.
It has to be. That's what separates a cool demo from a production system you can actually bet your business on.
So where are these systems actually making money today? Where are they creating real value?
The biggest pattern right now is the transactional agent. Think banking, insurance, logistics.
Industries where correctness is everything.
Correctness and reliability matter way more than, conversational flair. These agents turn natural language goals like process this claim under policy 4B into controlled, repeatable workflows.
And then on the technical side, there are coding and DevOps agents.
Yeah, these are agents that live inside a development environment. They run tests, read the error logs, edit the code, and just loop until a bug is fixed or they hit a time limit. The pattern is the same, a goal-oriented loop with specific tools and strict boundaries.
Okay, let's talk about the
Yeah.
boring but absolutely critical side of this, risk management.
Mm-hmm.
Once AI starts taking action, the stakes are completely different. We're not worried about a clumsy sentence anymore. We're worried about, an unauthorized database export.
Or real financial damage.
What are the common failure patterns teams need to plan for?
The first one is the simplest and often the most costly. Infinite loops.
Where the agent just keeps trying the same broken thing over and over.
Exactly, burning tokens and compute power the whole time. And the fix is surprisingly low-tech. You have to cap the number of steps and use lightweight external watchdogs to kill any runaway jobs.
And the second one, this sounds like the evolution of prompt injection. Goal hijacking.
This is a major security risk. We're not just talking about tricking a model into saying something weird.
Whoa.
This is about hiding malicious instructions inside untrusted data, like a weird field in a customer invoice, to trick the agent into doing something harmful.
Like exporting a database.
Or changing permissions. Your security model has to treat all untrusted data as tainted and block high-impact actions unless that data source is verified. The stakes are just so much higher.
And finally, a warning about marketing versus reality, agent washing.
We're seeing this everywhere. Vendors rebranding a simple flowchart or a templated copilot as a sophisticated autonomous agent.
How do you tell the difference?
You test it. Throw a wrench in the typical process. An agent needs to be able to handle the unexpected and reroute its plan. If it just fails or repeats the same error, you're buying automation dressed up as autonomy.
So for anyone listening who wants to move past the hype and actually ship a successful level 3 agent, what's the playbook? The advice is clear. Don't aim for level 5.
Please don't. That resistance is key. The path to production trust is humble. Step 1. Pick one vertical use case.
That's specific.
And repetitive and boring and, most importantly, measurable. Invoice coding, simple contract triage. Start small and focused.
Step 2. Design for level 3. Focus on specific tool use and have crystal clear handoffs to humans.
Don't try to build AGI in a quarter.
Right. And step 3 is to bake the oversight in from the very beginning.
You have to. You decide up front. Where do humans approve the plan? Where do they approve the final action? And how do you kill a runaway job instantly? Governance can't be an afterthought. It's the foundation.
And the final step, the one that actually proves the value to the organization.
Measure outcomes, not prompts.
Ah.
Absolutely. You have to track closed cases, hours saved, incidents prevented. If your internal dashboard is just celebrating the number of AI calls, you are optimizing the wrong thing and you will never build organizational trust.
So this whole agentic shift, it's not just a new feature, it's a fundamental restructuring of how digital work gets done.
It is. The advantage isn't going to come from having the wittiest chatbot. It's going to come from having reliable, inspectable agents that your colleagues actually trust.
All focused on clear boundaries and solid governance.
The era of AI that talks was entertaining, sometimes a bit clumsy, but the era of AI that does, it's going to be demanding. It will demand reliability and trust, and it will reward the teams that treat level 3 as the serious production-grade goal.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. The era of AI that talks was entertaining. The era of AI that does will be unforgiving. So consider this. Which mission-critical, boring workflow in your organization, the one that eats up hours every single week, could safely move from human hands to a focused level 3 autonomous system? What would truly change for you in your daily work if you only had to supervise the exceptions?